Meryl Streep is one of the most impressive actresses of all time, and she almost quit before she even started. Born June 22nd, 1949 in Summit, New Jersey, her father was a pharmaceutical representative and her mother was an artist. Her mother was the one who inspired her to pursue a performing arts career and said that she could do anything she set her mind to. This is what led to 12-year-old Meryl Streep performing in her school's recital, where she was then discovered by vocal coach and opera singer Estelle Liebling. She trained under her for 4 years, but discovered after that she just didn't really enjoy it and so decided to quit. After that, she did continue to star in school plays and displayed an amazing ability to mimic accents as well as memorize lines. After high school, she went on to get her Master of Fine Arts degree from Yale. While she was in school, she worked as a typist and a waitress and was so overworked she developed ulcers and debated quitting acting entirely, instead debating law. But she persevered, and while at Yale as well as after, she continued to star in stage productions, with her first major role being in 1975 in the play Trelawney of the Wells. For this play, she starred alongside John Lithgow and Mandy Patinkin. And then it was during this time period she continued to star in multiple plays, and this is where she met her future lover, John Cazale. She was then in a relationship with and stayed with John Cazale until his passing. But keep in mind, she never wanted to actually star in movies. She wanted to stay on stage. That was until she watched Robert De Niro's Taxi Driver, which left a profound impact on her, and she said that she wanted to be just like him when she grew up as an actress. It was because of this performance that Streep decided to go ahead and start auditioning for movies, and one of her very first ones that she ever auditioned for was infamously King Kong. The director of that movie, though, he didn't know that she spoke Italian and started insulting her when she came in, calling her incredibly ugly. Streep then responded in perfect Italian, "I'm sorry, but this is what you get." After this, she did find success and got her very first film role, which was the title Julia, alongside Jane Fonda. But she hated filming this movie. Even though she had a tiny part, she said every aspect of it was horrible, and she thought about quitting altogether once again. But thanks to the combined effort of the impact Jane Fonda had on her, as well as Robert De Niro approaching her because of her impeccable performance, she then decided to continue acting and got her next role, The Deer Hunter, which she took this part alongside her partner Cazale, who had been diagnosed with lung cancer at this point. She took it partly just so that she could remain close to him while he was going through his illness. But this film started her down the road for success, getting her a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. For her next role, she traveled to Germany and Austria for the role in the series Holocaust. But while she was away and upon her return, she found that Cazale's illness had progressed rapidly and she had to stay and nurse him until his passing. This was a very difficult time for Streep, but she did still succeed in acting, with the miniseries winning her multiple awards. She said it also brought her national fame, but she wasn't enthusiastic about working in film still, particularly due to all of the horrible experiences she had had at this point. She continued on, though, because she was trying to distract herself from the grief of her partner's passing, getting multiple roles in multiple movies, and the next big standout one she would get would be Kramer vs. Kramer. For that role, Streep put in a ton of research to make it as accurate as possible, and though it was somewhat controversial at the time, people did think she did a fantastic job with it. She went on to win several awards for this one, most famously the Oscar she won for it, which she ended up leaving in the bathroom. She would then go on to get even further acclaim in the role Sophie's Choice. And throughout the 80s, the hits just kept coming, but then in the 90s, something horrible happened. The roles dried up. Streep accredited this to being in her 40s and saying that women in their 40s just aren't paid attention to by Hollywood. And she was incredibly vocal about this, so much so that it's really impressive, particularly for the time period. Making sure to go on talking about women's pay disparities, how women are underutilized both on-screen and off-screen, and talking about how just the lack of access in Hollywood there was for women. And then in the 2000s, something amazing happened. She had the biggest career resurgence of her entire life, particularly with The Devil Wears Prada. The film put her right back into the spotlight and really emphasized how older women can lead films and still be successful. And a whole new generation began to notice Streep's talent, with her continuing to star in multiple movies such as Mamma Mia, Into the Woods, and so many more. And now she's back 20 years later, starring again in The Devil Wears Prada 2, where she is the main headliner. And despite all of that success, Streep has continued to make sure to emphasize women's importance in film, doing a ton of charitable work over the years and emphasizing how important they are for film success. And now back to how she's one of the most impressive actresses in Hollywood, because she is the most nominated actress in history, and did I mention she has a Presidential Medal of Freedom? She has a total of 21 nominations for Oscars, 16 for Grammy Awards, 1 Tony Award nomination, 6 nominations for Primetime Emmys, and she's one of the very few actresses to have what's called an EGOT for nominations, as well as a Triple Crown for nominations. And to think, if she had just given up early on in her career, we would never have seen any of her amazing performances.